there were some clouds that came to me, and it seemed like there were impressions of beings that were with the clouds. But the one that really stands out and is clear, he looks like Jafar from the Aladdin movie, which was honestly a little off-putting. Um, but he held out his hand to help me onto the cloud. And as I was discerning whether I wanted him on the cloud with me, he was changing forms to show that he didn't have to look that way. It was just his persona that felt powerful and magical. And he showed that he was a sort of magician by pulling a rabbit out near his staff. And suddenly there were a bunch of bunnies on the clouds. And since I like bunnies, that felt better. And as we were traveling, he was asking me what I wanted to see and experience. And I referenced the walk I went on today, where I was looking at a bunch of different worlds and wanting to really anchor into that sense of awareness of multiple worlds. And so I started seeing this enormous, almost like we were inside of a giant crystal, multifaceted crystal. So it was showing many, many worlds in each of the little crystal facets. And then we sort of landed the cloud on a platform which seemed a bit simulated, but the bunnies enjoyed it because they're hopping around. But I'm still seeing the multifacets showing different worlds. So what that looks like is maybe a 20-foot crystal or almost like a diamond where you have all the little different cuts and sides that sparkle, but almost like we're a tiny little speck that's inside of it. So in each little facet, it shows like the same image of blue or a green land. And so it looks like maybe there's dozens of this same kind of green land that instead of like if it was night looking out at the sky, it would be looking at all these little lands. But if I look behind me, we're standing on a platform. So it looks like it's it's an actual place where we are. We're just having the view of all of these little lands. And he is offering to um, give me a teaching, I think, about what I'm looking at because up to this point, I've been shown many different lands and that the universe really is set up as a yes place, and all of the lands that you could be on follow that same yes energy where your thoughts and your focus is what you will move into. And then there's a bunch of different lands on different dimensions that have hold different densities. So depending on what experience you want to have, you could go to any one of these chosen places, or you could even create one that's just right for what you want to experience. And so there's countless and growing different lands in the universe on all the dimensions. And it's a way of experiencing whatever you want to experience, really anything, because once you imagine something you want to experience, you can either find your way there or you can create a place of your own and or have creators create a place. But it's easily done and it's always available and it's always possible. And so I'm asking about Gaia. And he's saying that this is a place that is created in much density to have a really rich experience with matter. And that can take many forms. And it can be in the form of sights and smells and touch and taste and all the things, but you need to be dense enough to experience those things also. So if you were any any being from any dimension could go there, but if they don't have some density, then they are somewhat limited in their experience of it. So they could all see it and hear what's there, but they'll have different degrees of ability to feel and they can smell and they can simulate taste. They'll get an impression of what things taste like because there's a vibration of it that would translate to giving them a sense of what something would taste like and smell like. The touch part is different if you're not a physical being, then you can imagine, but it would be different. So to have the deepest, richest experience of great density, then you would match that density by being dense yourself. And so there's many different ways you could explore an experience. But Gaia has a crazy amount of diversity. And it's really a place where the biggest rule is free will. So that's creates an environment that is fairly unpredictable compared to other places, but that also makes it available for so many different types of experiences. And there's immense diversity of beings that are there. So it also creates surprise and it creates an environment that feels unpredictable. And so there's the question of how to, well, first, I'm still listening to what he would like to offer about this place that is different or the same. And so there's a great amount of beauty that has been created, just like in other places. There's beautiful landscapes and beautiful colors and wonderful fragrances and flavors and there's even more than people in density can pick up on, because there's so many colors that if you're in higher density, you can see them, but not all the denser humans can see all the colors that are there, but they're there. And then the great variety of frequencies, vibrational frequencies. So if you're a high enough in density, you have a sense, or you're aware of the great range of frequencies and vibrations on the planet. And there's great appreciation for that. It's really such a wide range, and it varies so much depending on where you are. The um, the range, not just the range, but where there are higher vibrations and lower. It is really quite something to have that awareness. And then, of course, if you have the awareness, then you have a more conscious choice of where you want to be, where you want to spend your time, where you'd want to. That if you're higher frequency and you have that awareness, and this is an area where those who are more dense, the humans, are they're a bit blinded, but if they're sensitive, they can sense. There are clues. So if you are a human, there are clues to this. So you can tell just by the vibrancy of a place and how the nature is growing, or um, you can tell the health of a place by its vibrancy. Um, yeah, the clues are there. Some people can feel it, some notice it by sight, some by sound, by seeing what nature is doing or not doing. And even with people and their homes and their surroundings of their homes, you can gauge the vibrational health of a person by all the clues of not just their person, but the world, their space around them, and how that's faring. And there are things that people are becoming more sensitive to and more aware of. And so there's also a great effort of, or a great event of people's senses perking up or becoming more aware. And it's one thing to become more aware, and then it's another to understand yourself as taking the reins, so to speak, about influencing your environment, intentionally influencing your environment. And that's a big shift that's happening on Gaia right now, is the awareness that's coming, and then the awareness of influence people have. Some people have known for quite a while and are using that in positive and in not so positive ways. But it's becoming more more of a, becoming much more of a wave of people socializing that, so to speak, talking about it, questioning it. And so there's another question about how to take that, and if somebody wants to be in a place that feels more securely lovely and beautiful and safe and vibrant and healthy, and while they're on the planet at this time, how to do that. And and part of that is, it's a perspective. It is, it's a higher state of perspective where people are now stating it's not so much what's happening on the earth, but it's your perspective of it. And it's a beautiful process that looks a bit chaotic and can be, but overall, it's like in the fall when the leaves fall off the trees. It's a beautiful process, but if somebody didn't understand the entire process where the leaves turn colors and then they fall off, and then the trees are bare for a while, and then but then spring comes. So if you understand the full seasons of it all, then it's not so frightening to see things falling apart or coming apart, or it's not so frightening if you understand that's part of the process. And that as things start coming apart, there's an opportunity to build it back up in a different way, or build something different, or build something that's more appropriate for Gaia's next stage, which is back to, or to a new state of a sort of paradise where the high frequencies of loveliness and light and love are heavily dominant. But the process it is quite a show. And so I'm asking this guide, this teacher that's with me, who he is. And he is able to show me really anything, he says. He does look like Jafar, and he's got a staff, a big staff. And I'm telling him that Jafar is not the nicest person, so I'm wondering why he's showing up like that. And he's showing me that he can look like anything, but Jafar was one of the most powerful beings, magician. And then he's looking like Ijai, a magician. But Ijai looks so harmless. Not harmless, but very kind of meek almost. So that's why he's not showing himself that way, because it doesn't feel powerful, where Jafar feels a lot more powerful. And he's saying he can show me anything. So I am really curious. I'm just curious what he would show me if he was going to choose what to show me. And so he's pointing again to the faceted view of all the different worlds, and he's saying everything's available. Everything is anything in any place you would want to go, anywhere you'd want to experience is available equally. So we could focus on any one of those many, many lands and have any experience we would want. And they're all lovely and they're all really positive. And he's saying that to also highlight the wonderland of Gaia and her diversity and how the or what feels unpredictable can be quite exciting. And that has drawn a lot of people to her. Because when you come from the perspective that everything's been lovely and you've been to these wonderful places, the thought of going someplace that holds so much percept perception of unpredictability, because if you incarnate, then your you temporarily lose your memory of who you are and what you're capable of. And that is kind of a thrill ride, that if somebody is looking for what else is available, what other experience can I have, it's really an ultimate experience. And when you plan to go, you know that you will have a lot of helpers, and you can choose how much help you are going to get and what kind of resources you take with you. So you could really give yourself an isolating experience if you want that, or you could set yourself up to have a myriad of support and help and resources. It's like going on vacation. You can pack all of your stuff to take with you and a whole troop of helpers if you want, or you can just go with your toothbrush and a tarp. It's up to you. So that's also appealing, is there's so much choice in there, and it's a place where it can be a huge group effort, a big group. Um, so when you go to places that are easier, you don't need to take so many supporters with you. It might just be you, um, because you're awake and aware, and you, especially if you're not in dense matter, if you're not a dense matter body. But if you go through the veil of forgetfulness, you can bring a whole entourage with you, even if you can take an entourage with you in the form of incarnating into a big group, a big family, um, or with others that you know and trust, that they'll play different roles in your life that will be very helpful. which could be related to you or not related to you. So you really can set it up any way you want to have the experience that you want to have. And that's interesting and different for people to have that. And so you can even look around at what people's lives are like and what kind of people they have around them and get a sense of what they planned. Often when people plan to have a more isolated life, they're not happy about it once they get there, but it is an experience that they probably wanted to have for their own purpose of what that would feel like or what that would be like or how they would react to that. Because you really can set up any kind of scenario you want. And then you can change your mind once you're here. You can decide that that you've had the experience you wanted, and now if you are feeling lonely and you're tired of it, you can decide to um, bring more light and love and friendships into your life. Um, there's no rules around that once you are satisfied with having the experience that you wanted. You can change the script. You can you can decide at any point what you want to do next. Now more than ever is a time when you really can write your own narrative and you can shift. It's easier than it's ever been to shift into different timelines and to experience the things that you want to experience. And it happens sometimes, it really can happen immediately. So if you decide you want different dynamics in relationships, you can imagine and feel into what it is you want. And it may not show up exactly how you envision, but it will be a vibrational match. What shows up will be a vibrational match for what you're holding. It's focused intention. And so as you practice focused intention and practice the vibrations you want to experience, things are happening so fast on Earth right now. And you're zipping through timelines so easily, so easily. It's really a fast track right now because Earth is in a band of energy that's so high. So it's amazing. It's an amazing time to be there.